Hey YouTube, how's it going? My name's Jonathan, and in this video I wanted to respond to a recent video by the YouTuber Kyle Kulinski that he posted on his YouTube channel Secular Talk, criticizing a recent appearance by Andrew Yang on Fox News. To give you a little bit of background, Kyle is a relatively large left-leaning YouTuber. His channel is around 770,000 subscribers, and the truth is, I don't agree with what he has to say a lot of the time, but I felt like this video in particular was worthy of a response, because it highlighted exactly what, in my opinion, is wrong with the attitude of many people on the left right now. I'm not a huge Andrew Yang supporter, but I think that his campaign has had some really good qualities. He's been willing to talk to just about anyone on the left or right, he's brought attention to issues that no one else is talking about, and he's done it all in a way that doesn't bring down or insult people who he disagrees with. Obviously, you can't talk about Andrew Yang without talking about the freedom dividend, giving $1,000 of free money to every American each month, but it's not really policy that Kyle is criticizing Andrew Yang for in this video. As you'll see in just a second, Kyle is mainly just concerned that Andrew Yang isn't combative enough, that he's not doing as good a job punching back against Fox News and Trump supporters as Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Even though Andrew Yang's appeal is his ability to find common ground on some of the biggest problems of the 21st century, Kyle just thinks he needs to be more partisan.
Andrew Yang went on Fox News and he spoke to Neil Cavuto, and he pitched him a question here about Elizabeth Warren hating the rich. And I have to say, I really don't like how Yang didn't push back on the framing of this question.
The rap against your party is that it may be led by the most vocal critics that hates rich people.
I think that if the Democratic Party does antagonize anyone who's made a certain amount of money in our society, to me, you should be praising people who succeed because many of them worked very, very hard to get where they are. And the question is, how do we balance the economy so that it works for more people?
So that was Andrew Yang's response, and before I show you what Kyle's reaction was, or before you say that Andrew Yang sounds like a Republican here, just know that that was really similar to something that President Obama said while he was still in office.
A reason why I came to a business school instead of a school of government. I actually believe that capitalism is the greatest force for prosperity and opportunity the world has ever known. And I believe in private enterprise, not government.
The fact that he didn't push back on how Warren was categorized and how the left was categorized is really disappointing. Come on, Andrew. Come on.
Come on, Andrew. Come on. Just don't be an individual here. Say what we want you to say and everything will be fine. Do a little bit of stumping for Elizabeth Warren, for Bernie Sanders, and you know you're not going to win the nomination. Don't rock the boat and everything will just be fine. Look, the truth is, as I already kind of said, Kyle isn't just pushing back against this one interview, he's kind of pushing back against Andrew Yang's whole message. I mean, Andrew Yang has gone on with Ben Shapiro, he's gone on Joe Rogan's show, he's gone on Fox News, he's gone on a number of different outlets that a lot of progressives just stay as far away from as possible. And he's not just had conversations with these people, he's tried to actually find common ground, explain a bit about where he's coming from, and actually listen to the other host's perspective. That's kind of what's missing from today's dialogue in a lot of political contexts. It's honestly a good thing that Andrew Yang's instinctive reaction isn't just to be like, no, you're wrong. It's actually to try and engage in dialogue. I mean, wow, what a crazy concept. Now, as Kyle explains in just a second, he isn't opposed to the idea of going on a place like Fox News and talking to people there. He just doesn't agree with Andrew Yang's method of doing it. But the truth is, there was a big debate just last spring between Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren about whether going on Fox News at all was giving legitimacy to racists. It's a really good idea for progressives to go on Fox News, for conservatives to go on NBC and CNN, and for there just to be a little bit more dialogue between the two sides. But there's a difference between dialogue and just shouting over each other, and the truth is, when you have people who are just sitting down with the intention of talking over the other person and not letting their opponent even get a single point out, you don't have a conversation at all, you just leave people feeling even more polarized than before they turned on the interview at all.
No, if you believe in your ideology, go and try to change people's minds. But what I don't like is you went into their house and agreed with them on a bullshit thing they were saying. To be fair, he didn't agree with them. He just didn't push back adequately when he needed to push back.
Look, there's definitely a place for taking principled stands on certain issues, but it's also a little bit weird that this is the topic that Kyle Kulinski thought that Andrew Yang got so wrong. Regardless about whether Democrats actually hate the rich or not, there's definitely a persona that people like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are trying to project. Elizabeth Warren literally sells campaign mugs on her website with billionaire tears in them, so whether or not Elizabeth Warren actually thinks that rich people are bad, she definitely wants people to think that she thinks that. Bernie Sanders has literally tweeted that billionaires shouldn't exist, so sure, I guess you can not hate someone and think they shouldn't exist, but again, it's a little bit of a weird thing to be so worried about Andrew Yang not pushing back on.
I got news for you. Some of the people who I've met in my life who were the hardest working were living under the poverty line. I know people who had 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and they were barely scraping by.
So actually, Kyle Kulinski does have a point here. There are people who don't get paid a whole lot and really don't receive adequate compensation for what they do. But that's a really funny point to be bringing up in a video about Andrew Yang, because regardless about how you feel about how Andrew Yang did in this particular interview, there's no doubt that his whole campaign message has been, let's pay people more for work that the economy values at zero. One of Andrew Yang's signature talking points is about his wife, who stays at home with his autistic son all day, and he always talks about how she should be paid more for what she does, and that even if the market doesn't value her work at a certain amount, it should value what she does at least for something, because it's a really, really important job that's contributing to the future of the country. Sure, there might be people at Fox News who really think that rich people should pay a lot less in taxes, but that's not the message that Andrew Yang is pushing, and to be honest, that's not even the system that we have in place right now. Rich people already pay a lot of money to the federal government. The top 1% of Americans make about 20% of the country's national income and pay about 40% of the country's national tax bill. So you can see that rich people are corrupting the government with their money and their influence, but the truth is they just have a lot more skin in the game than a person who only pays a very small amount of money to the federal government does.
Republicans, when they talk about social safety net programs and when they talk about like food stamps and welfare, they're like, you gotta work for what you're gonna get. Work. Shut up and go work for it. Work. Shut up and work. But then when it comes to the kids of billionaires, they're like, oh, no, you don't have to work. You don't have to work.
If you look at the very richest people in America right now, you'll see it littered with names like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Sergey Brin, people who have definitely put a lot of effort into building the companies and fortunes that they have. Sure, there are definitely people who get all of their money through inheritance, but someone still had to work for that money.
This is the same stuff, I run into this all the time when I debate conservatives, is they love to tell you what's going on in your head. How about you piss off and let me explain myself? How about that? Well, I think that you think this. I don't care what you think, I think. I'm right here. Ask me. Ask me.
Alright, so this is pretty much the last point I wanted to respond to, but I think it's pretty ironic that Kyle Kulinski is attacking conservatives for saying that they know what's going on in liberals' minds, when he is literally just attacking Andrew Yang for explaining what's going on in his mind. It's like, Kyle is totally fine with liberals explaining what's on their mind and, debating conservatives in a really fiery way, but the moment a person like Andrew Yang comes and says something a little bit off-message or something a little bit offbeat, or maybe even finds a little bit of common ground with someone on the other side of the political aisle, and that's where he takes a stand, is like, no, that's absolutely unacceptable. Look, the subject of wealth inequality in America is a really complicated subject, and I'm not saying there's an easy answer, but to criticize someone for stating their opinion or for finding common ground is just a really bad way to go and approach the conversation. With that said though, let me know what you think of this interview in the comment section down below. Let me know if you agree with Kyle or with Andrew Yang, or if you take some other position. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and with that said, I will see you next time. See ya!